I'm going to give you a bit of a sneak peek behind the scenes about what I'm doing with this Dubai company and things we've been up to recently, because it's changed quite a bit since the original video that you'd have seen when I set up in Dubai. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Aaron Henriquez. I'm from London in the UK. I've been running, failing, starting businesses for about the last 15 years. I left a 10-year career as a police officer in London in 2017, and soon after I experienced my first major business failure. I'm currently in an Airbnb in Amar Beach, and you might be able to see the palm behind me. I've got a nice view of the palm. But anyway, it's great. I'm glad to be back. I've experienced in a range of sectors, and I'm sharing some of my own experiences so that you don't make some of the same mistakes that I did. I woke up in London a few weeks ago. I looked out the window and it was absolutely pissing with rain again. And I was just like, screw this. I got on my laptop, booked the flight to Dubai, booked my Airbnb, and I was like, I'm off. Generally what I found is if I'm staying particularly in London for too long, I just start feeling a bit depressed and like I have no motivation to do anything. And it doesn't help where we've got basically an anti-entrepreneur government with crazy high taxes, low opportunity, dirty streets, crazy people, and it's basically raining all of the time. I am actually really glad to be back in Dubai for the third time. I was slightly delayed, however, because ironically, I was just talking about the rain in London. You might have seen the rain in Dubai. That was crazy. You literally had cars floating down the road, people on jet skis on the highway, nuts. And British Airways cancelled my flight the night before. So I ended up a couple of days late, but I've been here a couple of weeks now and all is good. I'm staying in an apartment for 9 weeks at Amar Beach. It's like a new project being built out here, and it's a much more positive environment for entrepreneurs or anyone who just likes better things in life. And this new environment has given me a boost of energy to go ahead and just do a load of stuff that I just wasn't doing when I was feeling all depressed in London. I've been using VAs in my companies for years to help me with the growth of my own companies. I had a few consistent issues that would pop up every now and then when I'd have a new VA placed with me. I'm sure one day when I was sat in the bath, I had this brainwave where I have all my brainwaves, or when I'm asleep at night. Does that ever happen to you? You get this like crazy idea when you're asleep and you just have to wake up and write it down quickly, or you'll forget in the morning. But anyway, I thought I would be able to make it better for the end client with providing more support, more training for the VAs, more supervision of the VAs, and a number of other things like smoother processing and stuff. For those companies who had like multiple VAs like I did, have smoother processing where they have to make multiple international payments to the individual VAs, being able to bring that into one sort of single payment. And that was the idea that I then had floating around. My big failure, which I might tell you about sometime, was I just call it Handlr 1.0 because it was the first iteration of one of my Handlr companies. And basically, because I was too lazy to think of a new name, and I also don't think it's that important when no one knows you, is I decided to just call it Handlr VA. I remember initially I really wanted to do it from the UK, but the numbers just literally just didn't stack up. Now I'm a big believer that the UK system, it's really anti-entrepreneur. And let's just say you're an entrepreneur in the United Kingdom and you're following all the rules and you are doing your 40, 60, 70 hours, whatever it is you're doing a week. For some reason, the government then think that they're entitled to about 65% of your money. Now to me, that's a crazy deal. And you still find them crazy people that are still like, oh, them rich business people, they need to pay more. No, we don't. In my view, the UK government reward lazy people who are not really doing much, not really advancing themselves, and then instead go and penalize entrepreneurs and other people who are investing in stuff, who are trying to generate wealth, trying to generate jobs, trying to generate a better life for themselves to give themselves more freedom. I spoke to my accountant about the idea and quite simply, it just didn't stack up for me. The margins were way too low for me to get excited about it. I would need extreme numbers of VAs being placed and it just wasn't going to work. And of course, the whole thing may never have worked. It would have been my investment money going into it, my personal money that I've managed to save from what the government allow me to keep. And I just felt quite simply the greedy government in the UK wanted too big a chunk of my pie. So I just thought, I'm just not going to do it. Simple as that. For those who know me well, they knew that I was quite patriotic from a young age. I was indoctrinated, let's just say. I was a Boy Scout, then a Sea Scout, then a Air Cadet, then I joined the police, and I still do some stuff now for the state, let's just say, and I have my businesses now, but pro-UK, really proud of being British, that British brand and stuff that they make you feel so proud about. But now I literally think it's a shit show run by absolute morons who just need to disappear and let the adults take over. So when I was talking to my accountant one day, complaining about the amount of taxes that the UK government want to take, they take from your corporation tax, they take from your income tax, the dividend tax, all the stealth taxes that they do and whatever. Anyway, I was complaining about that, and my accountant, I think as a joke, suggested, why don't you go and set up your company in Dubai then? And really, I felt a bit forced out of my country, to be honest. It's shit to think the only real option for me to make a business work is to literally do it in a completely different country. So eventually I found out how to set up the company without being scammed, ripped off, or having to use an agent. And I did a ton of research. And so I thought, after doing all that research, I'd put a video together and made it available to you guys, which you can watch on YouTube after this. And after I got my company set up, I went through the UAE investors visa process to get my residency visa. And again, because there were so many steps to it, I just thought, you know what, let me put a video together so you can watch the 2 videos after this, which shows you the steps of how to set up the company and then the steps of how to get your visa sorted. Now, personally, I found the UAE extremely welcoming. It's safe, it's clean, everyone's entrepreneurial. They don't have bums out here because bums are not allowed to stay. You either pay your way. When I say pay your way, I don't mean in taxes, as in like you can support yourself or you leave. That's the 2 options that you have here. The tax system, it's super cheap for entrepreneurs and it's 0 if you're a salaried staff member out here. For entrepreneurs, it's literally just 9% tax, which was brought in just in 2023, but it's 9% tax on profits. Now, at the moment, for small businesses, it's on profits of over 3 million dirhams, which means you get to have about 815,000 US dollars of profit, not revenue, before you have to start paying this tiny 9% tax. Now, in comparison, in the UK, the corporation tax is 26.5% at the moment, and you pay that on all of your profit. No matter if you've made £1,000 or you've made £500,000, you're paying that. Said, income tax is 0. So if you pay yourself a salary from your company, it's 0 and it's deductible. It's a deductible expense, it reduces your profit. Now compare that to the UK, you could easily be paying well over 40%. If you're earning good money out there, substantially more. Combined, it can be somewhere like 60-65% that you end up paying from your hard work. And for VAT, it's only 5% in the UAE. That is on revenue, not on profit. Now that 5% is you only have to start paying that if your revenues are over 375,000 dirhams, which is like 81,000 US dollars. And for those of you who don't know the difference between profit and revenue, basically revenue is all of the money that comes in through your sales, and profit is the bit that you get to keep at the end that you can pay yourself to your personal bank account once all the bills are paid. But for a lot of people, if you're setting up a free zone company in Dubai or just anywhere in the UAE, because you won't be selling typically into Dubai, you'll be selling to other countries abroad, you won't be charging the VAT to people. Now, why is that important? Competitiveness, that's why, and profitability. If you take 2 companies that do the identical things, one's based in the UK, one is based in the UAE. One's a free zone in the UAE, one is just a normal limited company in the UK. Let's just say the 2 companies buy the product for the same price and they sell it for the same price. Now, in the UK, you'd pay 20% VAT, and in the UAE, you'd pay 0, but let's just say that you were paying the 5%, then you'd pay 5%. So you've got a difference there of a margin of about 15%, which even makes you more profitable, or the UAE company has the option to reduce the price even more and take the customers away from the UK company. So that's why the VAT is important. But that aside, you don't pay it if you're not selling in the UAE, and if you're opening a free zone like I did, you wouldn't be doing it. Now, personally, I find Dubai like extremely clean, it's extremely safe. The roads are huge, the living standards are super high. If you've come from a major city like London or New York or wherever, the amounts of money that you're used to paying in rents and stuff like that, for the equivalent that you can get over here, don't get me wrong, it's not cheap. Dubai is not cheap, but the equivalent you get over here, your living standards are way higher, plus you're surrounded by motivated people, you're surrounded by entrepreneurs, people who are a bit of hustle and bustle, who are out there trying to make a living, trying to make a better life for themselves. Personally, I think the UAE is putting the West to shame, and I really don't think the West like it, but they've got to keep a nice pretty smile on their face, because tons of people are flocking out here. People from the UK, US, Canada, Australia, everywhere around the world are coming here for a better life, and because people think they deserve, and quite rightly they do deserve, to keep more of what they worked hard for. Now, if I could move my business back to London, I would, but the tax system just doesn't make any sense for me to do that. If you even make £1,000 in profit in a year in the UK, the government wants their cut of that. Whereas the UAE at the moment, they've allowed you over 800,000 US dollars of profit before they're going to charge you anything, and then the tax that they do charge you is super low compared to most places around the world. But it's not perfect out here, like, don't get me wrong, there is a hustle and bustle culture. People dress really well and they're prepared to rip you off and smile in your face while they do so. And you've just got to think that out here there's a lot of people who are only on commission only jobs or really low salaries, and they have to earn money through their performance in their work, or they own their own companies or whatever. So typically estate agents is one example of who most people will come in contact with at some point. Most of those will be on just pure commission. If they don't sell, if they don't rent your property, they don't make any money, zero, nada. So that does motivate some people. Maybe they might stretch the truth a bit. They might just tell you outright lies to make the sale with you. You just got to be careful. And even when I was at Global Village the other day, I was going through this Yemen part of the Global Village, and there was lots of these honey stalls, and then this guy with a nice smile, really happy, cheery, waved me over, is come and try this honey, give me lots of different types of honey, and there was two that I liked, and I thought, do you know what, I'm going to buy this one for one of my parents, and I'll get this one for me to use while I'm in Dubai, because I needed some honey. And I just thought, yeah, it's going to be a bit more than honey would normally be, but it's not going to be a ton of money. I asked him for 2 small jars of honey. Not only does he not give me his small jars of honey, he then pours it into 2 like half-kilo jars, so it's a kilo of honey. And then I found out they had these like actual small pots, which is actually what I wanted. But anyway, they gave me those, and then he comes to me with the card machine, and it said 950 dirhams on it. 950 dirhams is about 240 US dollars. 240 US dollars for 2 jars of honey. And I was like, what the fuck? There is no way. I was like handing that thing back to him. Then the girl I was with, she's just started like negotiating like the price, and she was like, no, that's like crazy, that's way too much. Like literally thought it was a joke at first. And there's no way I'd pay that much for a couple of what were meant to be small jars of honey. Then immediately he's like, 500 dirhams. I'm like, no, because that's still 100 quid for 2 jars of honey. He then come back, he was like 250, 180. Then the girl I was with, she was like, no, 150. And I was thinking at this time, look, I don't want to give this guy any money. Even if he said 10 dirhams, like £2 or $5, I don't want to give him anything, because he's just taking the piss. He's obviously looked at me and thought, here's an idiot. Let me rip this idiot off. But anyway, they eventually agreed on the 150 that the girl was saying, and I reluctantly paid it. For those of you who might be interested to have a look at different things you can do in Dubai, I recorded a 4 days in Dubai vlog when I came here for the first time. So you can have a look for those. I think there's 4 or 5 like shortish videos on that, which just shows you some of the stuff I got up to in my first time visiting. You can always have a look at that, leave some comments or whatever. When I first set up the company here, I used the help of one of my long-term assistants called Belle. She also has 15 years experience in recruitment in the Philippines for like remote workers working with US, UK and other English-speaking countries abroad. She was really excited about the project as well. But for me, something just didn't quite feel right. I just didn't really feel that excited about VAs. I think it was just one of the things, I got an idea in my head And I thought, yeah, I could probably do a better job than some of the companies that I've been involved with. So I built the website, then I got the SEO going. I got my team to start working on that because I knew it would take a long time before the SEO started to work. I provided services remotely for many years, particularly in the cleaning industry, and I just literally started thinking about all the terrible things that could go wrong, the headaches that it's going to cause me dealing with the remote workers. After a few months, I started to get a few organic leads coming in, and I just was basically saying, we're not providing service at the moment or whatever. We'd take their details and I've got them in a database and I need them. And that was coming through the organic SEO. It just started to work a little bit. I could easily place someone, but I didn't want to just place someone and then be like, I can't be bothered to manage them. Or if I've only got a couple of clients, the resource that I need to use to be able to service those clients, it's disproportionate to the amount of clients that I might have. So I just felt like if I'm not fully behind it, I'm not going to do it. But something wasn't quite right for me at that point to be pushing with that as a service on its own. But meanwhile, something else was going on in the background which I hadn't anticipated. And that video that I'd created, which I've mentioned a couple of times, on setting up the company in Dubai. In that video, I offered to introduce them to one of the managers of the free zone that I set up with so that people can set up directly with them rather than going through an agent or whatever. So I was getting a few leads a week from that. I started getting people from all over the world, particularly a lot of Europe actually, but places all over the world contacting me through my Instagram, through email, even through my WhatsApp. God knows how they find my number, but whatever. I've had people contact me in various ways, asking me questions, asking me for a quick video call and stuff like that. Normally the calls and stuff I just declined and just said I wouldn't be able to do them. People would email me and text me or whatever. I didn't mind responding to a few of them, but I was getting a lot of requests and I'm still getting them even now, but it's less so, thank God. Some were like really polite, some were like really demanding, as if I'm a mentor they've just paid $100,000 to and expect answers from me. But moreover, the majority of the comments that I was getting, like people messaging me, was just saying, thank you so much for taking the time to put it together. And you're welcome, guys. It ended up becoming so frequent that I actually set up an automation to deal with it because I just couldn't deal with all the queries that were coming through all the time. And the free zone actually then started sending me a small referral fee, about $300 for the leads that I'd send over to them that actually then went and set up a company. And again, that wasn't something that was expected. In March 24, I was starting to think, actually it's coming up to the point where I'm going to have to renew my license. It costs a few £1,000s, dollars, whatever you want to use to be able to keep it active, because you have to pay the license fees every year. And I was really considering actually just closing it down. And I just thought, look, I do like Dubai. There are other ways that I could get visas to be able to just come out here and stay, something like a golden visa, and be able to come out here when I want to for a holiday. But I was just thinking, do you know what? I haven't done anything with the company. The VA stuff on its own just is not that interesting to me. On its own, I don't want to do that. And so I was really thinking about closing the company down. Then the free zone sent me the renewal documents and I was sat there, I was thinking, I'm going to cancel these. And then Switty just mentioned to me one day, why don't you become a professional partner? You've sent us a ton of leads. Why don't you just become a professional partner? You can do that through your company. You just need to change your trade activities and then you can set up the companies yourself, because literally I've been helping so many people with the questions before they were setting up, during and after. I just then started thinking about it like, should I? And I thought about it and I didn't want to get into that thing of yet basically another startup idea that I don't run with, that then just going to cost me thousands of pounds and then I don't actually do anything with it. But I did really like speaking to some of the entrepreneurs that contacted me. Some really interesting people have been in touch, and it's just been really interesting meeting different people from around the world who are similar sort of mind to me. And that's one of the hardest things that I found out in Dubai is like, when I come here on my own, I don't actually know anyone. I just felt like those people, once they're here, would be great to catch up with them. But then I started thinking that thing again. I don't just want to be a company setup service. I literally created that video because I wanted to avoid using agents. And I wanted to avoid using agents because of all the bad things I've heard, not just online, but actually from someone I know as well, about where they're just dishonest, how they set up. Some charge literally extortionate fees in the initial year. Some charge smaller fees in the first year, and then they will blast you the next year with a humongous admin fee that you have to pay, or you have to close your company down potentially. I didn't want to just have the company set up and the visa services on its own, because just setting you up. It doesn't help you for the long term. There isn't the support afterwards. It doesn't help entrepreneurs grow long term. It doesn't help build those connections, build the network, anything like that. And then I realized the obvious. There was something big missing when you set up a free zone company, either directly or with an agent. And that's the support to all the answers, to all the common questions before, during, and after setting up. Building those connections with other entrepreneurs, because it can be a lonely place if you move out here and you don't know anyone. Other sort of business growth services, like why they're not offering them. Other business growth services which can really help the entrepreneurs to grow their companies for the long term out here. And also, integrity is important to me, it always has been. And being a trustworthy source where you can actually trust that the company that I set up and my staff, anyone that is working with me, is not going to attempt to rip you off, not going to throw in some like random admin fees and stuff like that. Literally, transparency and integrity is like non-negotiables for me. It's been inbred in me from a young age of these are the principles that you must live by, and that is what I live by. And then I realized, why don't I just combine them all together? I can offer the company setup services, the visa services, I can offer my Handlr SEO services, like digital marketing stuff, and I can offer the VA services. All of those things help businesses to grow for the long term. It's something that I use in my own businesses to grow, all of them. So why not offer that to other people under one roof? But also have systems in place to be able to provide the support for the entrepreneurs with navigating the legal side of things here, just generally how to get on when you're moving here into Dubai, building that little network of that community of people. That's what I thought really would be something really strong that is missing across the board. And I think that's something that is really important to do, because yes, building that community, you might not make money from it, but I think that would really support people, give people a lot, I don't know, like a better time coming out here. Because honestly, me personally, I've had some times when I've just been like on my own for days and it's really depressing. So that's the pivoting thing that I did. I just thought I'd give it a shot. Let's combine a number of my services together as something that can really support people who want to set up businesses in the UAE without ripping them off, basically. So like always, I had to think of a name. I didn't know what to call it. What do you think I called it? I'll give you 5 seconds to think about it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. I called it Handlr Zone. I decided that after about 15 minutes. Why? Because the Handlr brand is something that I've already used, and SEO, done the Handlr VA, done the Handlr version 1.0. So I just thought, why come up with another name? Handlr seems to make sense. Actually, it's quite similar to what the original Handlr was about. It was about supporting businesses in that sense. So that's why the brand was even created. I then immediately did my thing of starting to build the website, trying to get that up. And then I thought, hold on, son. There's one principle that you've been living by for quite a few years. You know, like I use VAs to support me. I hire other staff members for other things. I'm thinking, why are you going to spend your time building a website? It's going to look shit. It's going to take up a load of your time. You're not going to enjoy it. You're going to rush it. And why bother? I read this book last year, which really reinforced something that I'd already started to do, but really didn't understand possibly what I was doing. It's called Who Not How. Who Not How, for me, I think is the most important book for entrepreneurs particularly. The most important book. I've read and I've listened to that thing, I don't know, 5, 6 times now, maybe more. The principles behind it are so important for you to be able to expand your businesses, to be able to expand your growth as you move forward. That is so important, because it's so common for entrepreneurs to try and do everything themselves, and then you limit. You've only got so many hours and you've got burnout and all that to contend with. You limit yourself on what you can do. So I decided, look, screw this. I'm not building a shitty website. This is what the website looked like. It looked like a pile of shit. So I decided that I would go and get a professional web developer. I instructed them, give them a bit of a brief and let them crack on. It's not yet finished at the time of this recording, but I'll give you a little sneak peek. This is the new website that is being built. It is still in development stage. It's not actually built as a proper website yet, but this is eventually what it's going to look like. The first iteration, it's not perfect, but do you know what? It's going to be a lot better than I would have done, and it's not taking up my time, stressing me out. So well done to these guys who've done a great job in my opinion. So what's next for me? I'm heading back to London at the end of June in time for summer, to avoid the summer in Dubai because it's super hot, like 40 plus. And in the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to contact some of the leads that I sent through to the free zone before who didn't set up their companies to offer them to have a chat with them and see, are you interested in still setting up in Dubai? Would you like this? This is the new thing that I'm trying to offer out and building that community, because I think that's really important, of building like a network or at least the infrastructure so that people have the opportunity to do that with other entrepreneurs. As soon as the new site is ready for its soft launch, we're going to start aggressive SEO on it, because that is where we're going to win in terms of being able to get new business in for the long term. I'm always thinking about business for the long term, not the short term wins with crazy expensive Google ads. Facebook ads are even crazy now for generating leads. So that's where we're going to be focusing. I really think that people, we're just so impatient these days. You know that story about the turtle and the hare and who wins the race or whatever? Everyone wants to be the hare. They start off, they want to throw all their budget and all their money into Google ads, Facebook ads or whatever. It just doesn't work. For most people, the budgets are too small. It doesn't work. They don't want to invest in something like SEO because it takes too long to start getting results. New website, 12 months, 18 months for good, consistent results. Maybe even longer. It depends on how competitive your industry is, how much budget you're putting into it. But people don't want to wait for that. And yet the businesses that survive for the long term are ones who've invested for the long term, not just the short term little wins. I was literally at the pool the other day, and this is the thing where you just speak to random strangers. Someone's kid just jumped into the pool right in front of me. I'm sat on the sun deck thing with my laptop out, and the water's gone all over it. I was like, shit. And the dad's come over and like, oh, sorry, mate. Sorry, we didn't realise. I was like, don't worry. I'm the idiot sat by the pool with a laptop. So we started speaking anyway. It turns out he's looking at setting up a company out in the UAE. He wants the visa and stuff like that. And literally just from that one interaction, we're now connected. And who knows, in the future, he may actually then decide to come out here, set up a company and move his family out here. Who knows? He may not, but whatever. Just speaking to like random people and just finding out about the sort of stuff that they do, the interests that they have or whatever. I just find it interesting. I just find talking to other people interesting. Hopefully, some of the lives of the new entrepreneurs coming out to Dubai are going to be made a bit smoother for those who come with us. And that's really why I decided to pivot my Dubai startup. That's it. And of course, I'm going to let you know how it goes. If there's any questions that you have, put them in the comments, because that will give me an idea for another video to make for you, that's something that you actually want to know that I can also talk about from my own experience. And another thing I'd like to know is, have you set up a company in the past anywhere in the world, and have you pivoted? If you don't mind sharing it with me and with other people who are on YouTube wanting to have a look, put your story in the comments. That might inspire other people to think, or maybe give other people ideas. If someone's doing a business at the moment that it's not really exciting them, or they're just not making traction with it, they might be doing a similar business that you've already done in the past. And equally, if you ever had a business and you've never done anything with it and just ended up having to shut it down, or maybe it's been a big failure. I know people don't like to talk about them. I'm probably going to share a story with you, which I haven't really gone into depth on before. I'll do that another day, potentially, if I can bring myself to speak about it on camera. But yeah, let us know in the comments. If you're watching on YouTube, then click up here to watch this video next. Since you stay with me this long, if you want to hear for future stuff, subscribe, like the video, or even better, share it with someone who you think would really benefit from hearing this today. Bye.